Hi, Darrell Crow here with another tip on one of the most common mistakes that I see that beginning art students perform. You know, we talk a lot about wet on wet is such a fabulous technique because we can layer color on top of color and we can blend colors together. And unfortunately, I see a lot of overblending that's occurring. So I want to concentrate on the proper methods of blending. And we're going to show you quite a few different blending techniques today. But most importantly, what I want to impart with you is that when you're blending, you want to blend just enough to get the job done. But I find a lot of students, they overblend in doing clouds, they overblend in doing smog and fog. Well, I haven't really taught anybody to do smog yet, but we'll settle for fog. How's that? And I've seen people overblending in the bottoms of their mountains, in the trees, and in sky colors. You name it, if you can overblend it, I've seen it done. And my students always write and say, I don't understand what's wrong here. What's wrong? My clouds don't look like yours. My waterfall doesn't look like yours. My ocean doesn't look like you. So this is going to apply to each and every one of these areas. So this is what I call a more advanced step, a more advanced technique in learning to paint. So let's go on down to the palette, and we're going to pick up some color, and we're just going to put in a cloud, and then I'm going to show you some of the things that I see and how we can correct it. We're going to start with clouds. We'll do a little bit on the waterfall, we'll do a little bit on the mountains, we'll do a little bit on some sky colors, just so you can start to see what I mean. And it really doesn't matter what brush you're using. You could be using a 1 inch, a 2 inch, 2.5 inch, a hockey brush, a blender brush, a mop. The thing is, just enough and then quit. You don't want to destroy the beauty of the colors that you've just brought together through blending. So let's head on down to the canvas right now. All right, we're just going to put a quick cloud, and we have some titanium white, and I want to put a little sun. Now we can use either yellow or a red color into the titanium white in order to put the sunshine in there. So I'm going to take just a small amount. See that? That is what I call a small amount. See, I never want to use just a pure white as I paint. Okay, you always want to tint it at least with some other color. Now the beauty about red is that a lot of it will disappear as it dries. Okay, will really disappear. Now, there we go. And if you feel it's too pink, you can always just go ahead and add a little more white. But I think that we're just going to go ahead and use this. Actually, I'm going to add a little bit more because we need more cloud color anyway for what we've got going there. Well, also need a little bit more red. That is something that will happen. Okay, I like the red we had. All right, there it is. Now, see the difference between this color and the pure white? You always want to tint your whites with some color. That's also another big problem, and one of these days I'll talk about that in our big problems kind of videos that we put out. Okay, there we are. Now, I want to take my large brush because I want to show you a cloud, a nice happy little cloud, and what happens when we overblend it. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and tap in. This is one of the fastest ways I know of making an absolutely wonderful cloud. Okay, see that? All right, now let's come up to the canvas. And we'll just start right up here. And I'll just tap in a nice little shape. See that? Now the thing you have to remember is when you're out of paint, like look at this, I'm out of paint. Alright, I'll go ahead and wipe my brush off. Okay, wipe my brush off, and I'll come back and reload the brush. See that? Reload that brush. I was so amazed the other week. I got a letter from someone who was thanking me for my DVDs, and she has been blind for 7 years, and she sent me a picture of one of her paintings, and I nearly fell out of my shoes. And so, you know, I'm going to dedicate this entire series of how to correct the biggest problems to Deborah, and for being a magnificent inspiration to me. So Deborah, these films are for you. All right, now I'm going to continue tapping. All I'm worried about right now is this outside shape of this cloud. Okay, because what am I going to do? I'm going to let blending take care of creating the cloud itself. So the only thing that this tapping is doing is shaping the outside. Now, if you have problems in general making clouds, we've got a beautiful video called The Basic Techniques of Oil Painting, and we have a full 2-hour DVD dedicated to just learning to paint flowers. So you can check that out if you like. All right, now that we have that done, I'm going to wipe out all of the excess paint. Now I have a choice. I can blend with this brush, or I can blend with a soft blender brush. Okay, I'll do one with one and one with the other. Okay, so now this is all covered up with paint, but I've got this edge. Hasn't been used, and I started at the bottom. See that? I'm using this big circle. Okay, just like when you went to first grade, you learned how to write. And remember all those circles. And anytime you feel color building up, just go ahead and wipe. All right, and just blend out the bottoms. You want to blend the bottoms into the sky. Okay, now as I come up in the body of this cloud, I want to stop before I get to the edge. See that? Stop before I get to the edge. And then I'll go ahead right here, X, 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 X. All right, and that sets that into the sky. Nice and easy, nice and happy. Just like that. And then I'll go ahead and clean my brush, okay? And then up in the air, I'll just give it a half arc. See that? And there we are. Now you don't want to bring your clouds down, because if you do that, that's called rain. So we want sunny clouds. Sunny. There we go. See that? That's a nice cloud. Now, that's how you should be making them. That's all the amount of blending you should be putting into them. But here's generally what I see. Okay? What I generally see is, look at this. They're blending it and blending it until all I have is a cotton ball. All right, see that? Now, how many of you have done something like that and you can't really see that fine distinctive? This is a result of over blending. And about the best way to correct that is to take a little bit more of the paint and redefine your edges. Okay, and one of the best ways to do it. All right, there we go. All right, see that? And then, you see, it doesn't matter how you get the paint on. You can put it on with a roller pen if you want to. What matters is the blending. And there are many things that we paint where it's the end result is a function of our blending. Now, I told you I was going to show you how to use the soft blender brush. Okay? Now, it doesn't matter if you're correcting a cloud or if this is your first cloud. You come in here, and in the same way, I've got this at an angle. See that? At an angle, and I revolve it, revolve it, revolve it, revolve it. Okay, there we are. And then up in the air. Underblend before you overblend. Alright, see that? Underblend. And there we are. And that's brought that cloud back up. So that's how you would correct your cotton ball. Now, a lot of times what you'll find is someone will have put together a small storm cloud or a cloud that has two colors in it. And so it's very important to get the right blend between the two colors to have that beautiful effect for the clouds. So let's go on back to the canvas, or to the palette here, and I'm going to take a little bit of blue because I want some lavender color. Alright, so there we are, a little bit of blue, a little bit of the red, and we're probably going to need a lot more of the red. Okay, see that? That's a nice lavender color. Now, let's put a little bit of white with it. Okay, there it is, a little bit of white. Just blend all this together. Alright, now, let's come on up to the canvas. Well, before we come up to the canvas, let's grab a brush. And, I don't know, let's just take one of the smaller brushes. Just like this, okay? Just rubber some color. Alrighty. Now, let's come up over here. And see, I'm just going to put a thin, notice the words thin, coat of this darker cloud color. Alright, again, I am blending and spreading it out. All I'm worried about is the shape of that cloud. Now, I'm going to come back over the top of that cloud with some brighter color. So as a result, I do not preserve the edge. So if the edge is alone by itself, like you see up here, then you paint up to the edge, but you don't paint the edge. If it's going to be covered, then what you need to do is paint over the edge. Okay? So, we have a whole series of basic technique painting DVDs where you can learn all of that. But right now, I just want to show you some of the problems I see. And first off, I'd like you to avoid those problems, but most importantly, how you can correct them. All right, now that has been put up there, and generally, people do a great job doing that. Okay, the next thing is we'll go ahead, and again, we'll get some more paint on our brush by stabbing it down just like that. Now, you don't always have to just jab down on your cloud. Okay, see again, I've got the paint just on one edge, and I'm coming up here, and there it is. And I'm just worried about the edge. See that? Now, I've got two things to worry about. Okay, the first one, I've got this dark color, so I want to blend this light into the dark, but not overblend it. Okay, so here's what we do, is we'll go ahead and, I don't know, let's just take our blender brush. We haven't really worked with that much. Okay, but this brush is really cool because you can use it lightly or you put a lot of pressure on it just to get the effect you want. See this? There we are. And see, it's still got a bit of that edge. And what we want to do is blend that edge away so it looks like it's part of the cloud. There are two ways of doing that. That's one of them. Now that just shows a beautiful light right outside of the edge of that dark cloud. And you see that all the time. And so to finish it, you would just up in the air, up in the air, up in the air, up in the air, just like that. See? Up in the air, and then go ahead and lightly set it down. And there we've got a magnificent cloud. What I see all too often is people do a good job of putting the darker cloud in, And this is what they do when it comes to blending. All right, look at this. Definitely overblend. When I look at this, I go boring. When I look up here, I go exciting. So the way to correct that would be just as we did up here, take a little bit of the white right around the edges and then reblend, but lighter that time. Okay? So another thing too is that if you want to put a little bit of depth into your clouds, you can take a little bit of the light cloud color and just see right here, you could just put in a bit of color, okay, just like that. Take your clean, dry blender brush, and notice I'm always wiping that with a paper towel. Okay, and see this? I can just go ahead. Now this is on the inside, so I don't have to worry too much about the edges. See that? And I can just go ahead and create any kind of a shape and body I want to this cloud. So that gives it a lot of depth and a lot of excitement. But if you overblend it like we did over here, then you're not going to see any of that depth. So watch the overblending. Okay, one of the other areas where I see a lot of overblending is in the areas of the base of the mountains. In fact, sometimes I think the mountain is floating in the air because there's just so much over painting. For example, let me take a quick look here. Normally what I tell people is that we need to go ahead and mist the bottom. Now the reason we miss the bottoms of the mountains is because we're looking through a lot more water molecules at lower altitudes than we are at the higher altitude. So the higher altitudes are going to be very distinct in terms of shapes and features, but as you get lower to the mountain base, where it's level with the valley or the sea level, it's going to become a little more misty. Now notice I used the word little. I don't mean it's going to turn into a cloud. Okay, so the way that I tell students now is just simply take your brush, see that? And just pull up a couple of times. Now I used to go ahead and tap, okay, but that turned out to provide too much of a temptation for people to tap out their mountains completely. And so very frequently what I saw was people would do this, okay? And all of that color and separation that we just got through putting in here is now gone. See that? And then they come back, and I'm just going to use a lighter brush right now, just so it looks a little bit better, but I've seen this. I see this a lot, way too much. Okay? And they'll go up and up and up till they're almost to the peak. Okay? And so there we have a mountain, and the only thing visible are tiny peaks here. And my only suggestion on correcting that is to scrape it all off and do it all over again. Because that's easy to do with mountains. You can just scrape it off, you still got the dark color, go ahead, re-highlight it, and you're ready to go. Now let me show you what some of the overblendings will do in terms of your waterfalls. Now what I teach people a lot to do is just go ahead and take a little bit of this medium. I'm using just the medium clear, and we'll take a little bit of the light titanium white with maybe just a tiny touch of the red color. Okay, see that? Now all we want when we're doing is just a little touch. Okay, see that? Now, let's come on up here to waterfall. Now, we have this waterfall section right here. And the way we make the waterfall, we just go straight across, just like this. See? Right over, just like that. Come back over here. Right over. Come right back over here. And right over, and you're done. That's all that's necessary. And then I always tell my students, I feel like that song, and then is go ahead, take your brush, and lightly lift up, just so that it looks like it's a natural fall. And then if you want to add a little bit of a splash at the bottom, go ahead, take your brush, get just a little bit of color, and very lightly, see that? And then just blend it like you do a cloud, very lightly, up in the air, up in the air, up in the air. Okay, and you've got a nice little splash. You can even add to that splash, add to the drama of the flash by taking some of the paint and going right on the inside and creating a second set of splash. So there's a lot of things you could do with a blender. And all too often, though, I'll see this is what happens, though. They'll sit there and they'll blend, and blend, and blend, and blend. All right? Now, we have a cotton ball here. Okay, and we don't know what's going on. What's in front of that waterfall that we can't see where it's splashing to? So to correct it, they just go like this to smooth it out. See? The only way you can correct that is one of two ways. You can redo the waterfall to see if you've got enough paint, dark left in order to paint over that. But generally, to me, it would be just simply a matter of taking a knife and scraping it off, put in the dark again, and redo the water itself, and then this second time do a modest blend. So over blending, we've just given you 3 examples, but there could be 100 different examples. It does not matter if you're painting tall ships, if you're painting landscapes, seascapes, wildlife, florals. If you're over blending, you run a risk of destroying all of the beautiful detail that you've already put into your painting. So, we'll see you on another tip.
Well, I'm painting along, Darrell Crow and a song, painting, and it goes like this. I could be painting the scene with the color of green, painting, and it goes like this. A billion people I know think it's hard, but this ain't so. Darrell, it's a breeze, it's easy as 1, 2, 3. Oh, I'm a painting along, Darrell Crow and a song, painting, and it goes like this.